Next, we need to adopt tonight's agenda. It's been posted in accordance with state law. So unless we have some corrections or updates, we can take the motion to adopt tonight's agenda.
So moved.
A motion to adopt. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Motion agenda is now adopted. Next item is our meeting minutes from our September 7th meeting. And if we have any corrections or updates, we can make them. Otherwise, we can take a motion to adopt.
That would be January. So
Sorry, January 7th. I can't read.
move to adopt the minutes.
Thank you. For a
Second.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And thank you for correcting me. I can't read apparently. Next item on our agenda is public comment. This is an opportunity for the public to address the planning commission on items that are not scheduled for a public hearing tonight. We do have 2 public hearings scheduled tonight. So if you're here for one of those, please wait and you can speak during the public hearing time for those. So if you have a comment that's not part of the public hearing, please come to the podium, state your name, address, and make your comment. Please try and keep it to 3 minutes or less. Okay, go ahead and close public comment. Next item is public hearing for a site plan for Elite Craft Homes for the Arlo East Commercial Building. Royce or Noah, which one of you is?
Yep, I've got it.
Okay, you want to walk us through it?
Yeah, so this one's pretty straightforward. This is the last building in the Arlo project. Let me zoom out here a little bit. So the project, as you can kind of see, all of this is built now. So this is the building in question, on the corner that across from Banbury Drive there. Actually, the site area, a lot of this is actually constructed already. We've got parking lot put in, sidewalk put in, things, but the actual landscaping and some of the approaches in the building itself have not been done yet. So the approval here is going to be primarily focused on the landscaping, which you can see here is going to be primarily like a rock. There's going to be some grass out here, little islands. There's a mixture of shrubs and trees. But this does meet our ordinance. And then the elevations are matching what's in the development agreement. So the bottom floor here is commercial or office type space, depending on the uses that are permitted in the MXD zone, just sort of empty shell spaces. And then the upper 2 stories are residential. So I can give you an idea of the layout. So north would be top of this. So you got a big corner tenant space, and then there's a bunch of other tenant spaces that are roughly the same size. The accesses for these go through both sides. Typically, that's going to probably end up with the primary accesses being near where the parking is, and these would most likely be closed off. But the overall layout here, though, is a vertical mixed use with that mixed use within the building. That would be the first one we have in Syracuse. So it'll be interesting to see how it does. The upper 2 stories are pretty much this identical, just residential laid out with the accesses on either side of the building here. The architectural review committee met last Monday to discuss this project, and where it's pretty much like out of the development agreement, and also what's been discussed at length with the rezone process. They did generate 1 comment, and that was just about lighting. There wasn't any exterior lighting shown on the building, so they did recommend that they include some exterior lighting around the entrances. And I met with the applicant last Wednesday and discussed that with them. They said that would be fine. And there's also a review comment that we had concerning awnings. That's what we settled on with the applicant, but they are free to utilize any of the other design elements allowed in the code. So the code in question is going to be this one here, this 109240G. So it has a few different options they could utilize, but they said they wanted to put awnings on it. They just weren't able to get drawings to me by today. So that is the intention. But that is the only outstanding comment. The exterior lighting isn't necessarily a code thing. But they do have existing exterior lighting on the buildings that are currently built. And so we felt like that would also match what's out there. So, but based on what's been provided, where it does meet all the requirements of the code and development agreement, with the exception of this awnings situation, we would recommend conditional approval, that be taken care of before the building permit's approved. It does need to be addressed either way, but it is up to the commission. It's your purview if you'd like to continue it, table it until they can get us an updated drawing, or I guess you could deny it. I think that would be tricky, but it's up to you. But again, staff's recommending the conditional approval just based off of our discussions with the applicant and their openness to taking care of everything. But that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. This is scheduled for a public hearing tonight, so we'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Same rules apply as I said for public comment. If you're an applicant, we can have you talk afterwards if you want to have more time.
Perfect.
So. Okay, we'll go ahead and close public hearing, and now we can invite you back up. This way you get more time.
Thank you. Appreciate the time. My name's Trent Preston with Elite Craft Homes. More than anything, we're excited to finally get this going. At one point, we had site plan approval for this, but due to, economic circumstances, it's sort of, the project kind of got tabled as we tried to figure out what to do. Our plan now is to move forward. We've submitted architectural plans for building permit. And then Royce informed us that our timeframe on site plan approval had lapsed. So here we are again. And yeah, our intention in terms of meeting these requirements is to try to get all of the architectural review done so we can have the architect address everything all at once. So we're 100% okay with, the condition that Noah and Royce have put in there, that we address the awnings through the building permit process. So, and then I'm just here for any questions if anybody has any. So.
Okay, any questions from the commission?
Brent, maybe just one. You already have plans for that first level with this mixed use?
So right now so the hard part with commercial space like this is pretty tricky. We've had multiple people interested. So we had a hand and foot doctor that was wanting to do, or a hand and foot rehab person that's wanting to do a space in there, but a lot of those discussions sort of fall by the wayside until there's an actual physical space. So they kind of got cold feet, being that we didn't have permits and weren't ready to go. And so we feel pretty confident that as we get this building going up, we've kind of got a build to suit model, meaning we'll have these open spaces. And then as tenants come in, we'll design a space and do a tenant finish for them. So, yeah.
I guess I had two questions. Is it gonna be like an interior entry for all of them? So they have like one main door and they go around, or are they gonna be exterior entrances to each?
They're exterior entrances into all six. So there's the only interior entry is for the tenants upstairs.
Okay,
So there's the two stairwells on the two ends of the L shape. And then right in the center, there's kind of like a corridor with an elevator that goes just for the tenant use in the upper floor.
Okay.
So all of the commercial spaces sort of walk up either from the parking lot side or the street side.
okay. Do you anticipate mostly opening the parking lot side or street side, which?
Both, really. I think there's some parking kind of along that on the east side of the building. But I presume that most people will park in the parking lot and then walk into each of the units. So you may have some street entry. If somebody wants to park on the street, they can then walk up and enter from both sides. So.
Okay. So the intent is to have entrances on both sides of.
We're trying to keep it as flexible as possible for whoever leases the spaces, then they'll figure out what's best for their business.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Sounds good. So it'd be sort of like the ones in the town center area.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Anything else?
Any other comments, questions?
I recognize you have most of your parking built out, but do you have any active transportation, any bike parking allocated with this new, because
We do not know. We don't know. So, and to be fair, we didn't build the other apartment complex. That was done by Castle Creek Homes. They did the other 11 or 12 buildings that are there. This is just the one site that we kind of held on to. We developed the project and then sold it to them for the construction of the apartment homes. So, yeah. But there's no balconies. So most of the time you'll see bikes stuffed out on the balconies. We've tried to kind of keep it is consistent looking with the existing residential spaces and then a little bit more commercial at the same time. So there's not any sort of balconies that people can stand out on. It's a door that has a railing so they can open the door, but there's a railing, there's no space to stand on the balcony. So if they have a bike, they'll have to store it inside their apartment.
And what about bicyclists that are patronizing the commercial?
For the commercial side.
Side?
I'd have to look a little closer at site plan. We could probably find a bike rack someplace that we could put something in there. We don't anticipate this to be much retail space where you'd have a lot of bicyclists coming to that space. It's more of, I think the interest we've had has been more office space, whether it could be a dentist, it could be like I said, a hand therapy company is the one that wanted to lease one of the spaces. But no, we don't have anything planned for that right now.
Hey, Commissioner King, you had a question?
Well, actually, just two comments. One, I think with the exception of the bike situation, it matches up with exactly what we planned for the mixed use variances and everything to be done. So this is, I'm a big fan of this. However, with the bicycle, and we've talked at length with with the commercial use, one reason why one of the reasons why we've talked at length about providing bicycle parking is for not just patrons, but also workers, employees
Sure.
that may want to bike there. So in my opinion, I think that we would want to include a part of the conditional that would be added as well. Because we've done that with a lot of others, and I think it's good to be consistent, as well as it's a good idea.
I think we'd be open to that. So we could put that into the landscaping somewhere if that's a condition that the commission thinks we should, put into it.
Now, recently, we've been pushing for that a little bit, just.
Sure. Sure.
I know this has been progressing.
Right. And on it, for us, that would not be a deal breaker. So I mean, a bike rack here or there, if we can find a space for it, I don't think would be a problem.
Any other questions, or we can take a motion?
Thank you.
I
You want
can't
me
make
to
it, don't look
to
at me.
move, to put the motion with the bike in there? Well, if that's okay, I will move that the planning commission approve the request of Elite Craft Homes for site plan for the Arlo mixed use building on property located 1747 South Heritage Lane in the mixed use zone with the following conditions. The updated drawings show awnings or some other elements that meet our code that shall be provided before the building permit's approved, and that a bike parking be added to the site plan as that would be part of the building permit approval as well.
Did you
Sorry,
mean
can I?
to include the exterior lighting?
Sure.
We want to add the exterior lighting. We had a,
Oh, and the lighting. Yes, that's third.
okay, what was the comment?
That was it, the lighting.
Okay. Okay, so we have a motion. We have a second by Commissioner Shea and motion second by Commissioner Garner. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Next item is a plat amendment. Modified Antelope Station, commercial subdivision. Ms. Royce, you've got this one?
I do. Yep. Might take a second to scroll through all this.
Yeah, there was a lot of drawings there.
Yeah. Kind of included all the drawings and the development agreement, and it's
The whole set.
the whole shebang. Let's see here. Yeah, and my apologies on missing the bike parking there. That was as part of my review. I was under the understanding for some reason that they were subject to the previous code, but they are not. So I'm glad that we caught that.
And I don't know if we clarify just that would be the commercial aspect of it and not
Correct. Yeah.
not the residential.
Yeah, I'm going to count it with the parking spaces that are included in the site plan area, and then we'll utilize that. Okay, so Antelope Station, this one really simple. It's just a lot line amendment between two existing parcels. So this is just north of the Mr. Car Wash that was just completed out there. So there are two properties here. The north of this is, let's see, they have one lot, and then they've got a street, and then the medical building. So this lot line is just shifted slightly. Maybe it's about 12 feet over. So the idea is, at least from concept drawings I've seen, putting some commercial buildings in here, but that has yet to be applied for. So with this one though, this is actually, in my entire career, I've never had anything submitted that didn't have any comments. So this is the first time that's happened. So this does meet all the requirements of the code. Looks like, I mean, it just, yeah, it checks all the boxes. So we would recommend this be approved based off of that. And again, this kind of sets them up to hopefully get a site plan in here soon for some commercial spaces down there.
Thank you. This is also scheduled for public hearing tonight, so we'll go ahead and open for public hearing. Same rules as the other ones. And we'll close public hearing. The commission. So Royce, it basically just made lot 3 a little bit bigger. Is that what it did?
Yes, just scooted that slightly over.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah,
And a clarification, the shell building, it's just going to be a building that there's just unknown use, right? Is that what they mean? What is indicated by a shell building? It's not like a metal building. It will be just actual.
question, Royce, was
Sorry, what was that?
It says it's a for use for 2 shell buildings, and that's not like a metal building. That's like just a typical
Yeah, that would be like
frame building with no special indication. Right?
like that would be similar to what we just approved if it didn't have the upper stories. Those are essentially shells for tenant improvements inside.
I'm here from Forestry Partners if you
just
need.
build the outside and
additional
adjust it for how the inside needs to.
Correct. Yeah.
Build it and they will come.
Yep.
And this is plat amendment, so it's our authority on this one, correct?
Correct.
It's not a recommendation.
Yep. This is our authority here.
Then I'll make a motion.
Please.
Mr. Chair, I move the planning commission approve the request by Fort Street Partners for plat amendment modifying the Antelope Station commercial subdivision located at approximately 1562 South 3000 West, comprising approximately 1.82 acres in the general
Mr. Chair,
zone.
I'm sorry to
Yes.
interrupt. This one does need a public hearing.
I called for public hearing already.
Did you?
Came.
Oh, okay. Well, double sorry to interrupt.
You guys were
Please
talking
continue.
over there. Okay. How was your meeting over there?
Second meeting over there.
Okay. We have
In
a
the
motion.
general commercial zone.
Second.
Your motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion passes. You'll have to tell me what your meeting was about after ours is done.
You know, it's very interesting. I'm sure you'd be fascinated.
It was all my fault. I was asking if they had addresses on the lots,
Oh, okay.
which they do.
Make a motion to combine the two meetings.
Well, I'm certainly glad now that the motion's passed.
Okay, next item on our agenda is discussion on a final plat for Woodside Homes. A final plat of Parkview at Shoreline, phases 5 and 6.
All right. So now that I have my listening ears on, let's see. So this one, it did have comments. All the comments have been addressed. So this one's actually, there's a trail down there and some open space that we were able to work out with Woodside Homes. This is parcel A and parcel B down here. So on the north side of Gentile, we do have this regional trail connection. It goes across the south side of the field subdivision as well, and then dead ends where the city boundary is. And then we have trail that goes east, both planned and connected, that goes connects into the West Davis Corridor Trail. So this is a pretty significant connection here, and this will be nice too. They're putting in native seating similar to what's on the south side of the ski lakes, if you're familiar with that area. We felt like that was a better use than just sod. But let's see, this is just basically going to be continuation, more of the same standard kind of R3 single family development. So phases 5 and 6 will actually complete the south end of this subdivision. Let me see if I can get to 6 here. Go through the construction drawings. There we go. So
Is that
Yeah.
the trail that it actually shows there, or is that something else?
no, it's an outflow.
Okay.
They've got some sewer that needs to go out this direction.
Oh, okay.
So actually, I guess interesting side note, the Nature Conservancy that owns and maintains the property out here wanted as much sewer as they could get. So that's going to be runoff and I mean, obviously not the actual sewer. This is street sewer, different thing. So
Oh,
no raw
storm water then.
sewage.
They want as much sewage as
Yeah, I was
No, this
confused
is,
on that one.
This is about the water.
go for
Lots of breaks
Okay,
asbestos, I guess, but that's probably the only really super damaging thing. But yeah, so based on what's been submitted though, everything does meet the code. They are ready to go. So based off of that, we would recommend approval.
Okay, thank you. And this is just a discussion motion, no public hearing on this one tonight. So
Correct.
any comments from the commission?
Was there a building agreement or anything?
With this one, no, it's just a standard R3.
I realized that phases 1 through 4 are built and that we would want to have something that would look kind of consistent, but it doesn't meet our curb extensions anymore on any. 5 and 6 don't have the curb extensions. So I was just wondering how or if we could implement any of that, just because I mean they do connect right there to Gentile. I was thinking if we had them do the one intersection on the south end. If you scroll up a little bit.
Yeah, that is
20
true.
2460 west and 3560 south. And that would just kind of create a gateway intersection into the rest of the subdivision.
Yeah, I think our new traffic calming cross section came into play between preliminary plat approval and final plat approval, but we didn't see any comments about that, but I would think that it would be an option on the table. That's usually something that Brian would comment on. I'm not sure if that's necessarily required to have the bulb outs or if it's in certain situations that he recommends it.
Yeah. So, I mean, according to our standard, to my understanding, because again, I don't review that side of things, I believe that would apply here. I mean, we would basically, especially here, it would be pretty odd. So it'd be coming along the street, then it would just stop. But I'm sure they could work it in. It would definitely be the entire southern section of the subdivision, though.
And I would say like a good middle ground would just be the one intersection where you could just have have calming right there at that intersection.
Just take it up 2460 or just down on this.
Well, it'd be the same cross width everywhere. It just would be at the corners. So you'd have little bulb outs. Yeah, right there.
Oh, I see.
4 of those.
Okay.
It would create a smaller intersection. And
I mean, that does make sense. We do have connections to our regional trail. Yeah, I mean, it really is up to the commission. I'm not sure how Woodside would respond to that. I don't see them here either. But
Is Brian online?
he is not.
Okay.
No, we are alone here. So yeah, I mean, we could do a conditional approval. We could table it for later and see what Woodside says about that. It's really up to the commission. I'm fine with whatever direction you want to give us there.
Are we comfortable with the condition, or do we want to table it and actually have him bring it back to us and show us the new plan?
Yeah, I mean, if they're willing to do it, I think that that would be
If they're willing.
great. If
Okay.
they don't want to do it, then I think we can
I
discuss it.
mean, doesn't the conditional approval require them to come back?
No.
Not necessarily come back, but put it in.
If they don't.
If they don't want to do it, they have to come. That's a good question. If we make it a conditional approval and they say we can't do it, do they have to come back, or is it start the process over, or what happens?
I think it probably depends on how you word it. I mean, if you say, this is put in, and if they're unwilling to, they must come back to planning commission for discussion. You can organize it however you'd like there. The only thing you couldn't organize it to do would be to override the code and provide
Right.
a variance in some way.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, this is an administrative kind of thing. So if the ordinance says like it's pretty black and white, you shall meet this ordinance and comply with it, they don't have a lot to argue. But in this case, I'm reading it. I can't remember if there's a standard detail in our engineering drawings, and it's called the typical reduced width street intersection detail. But it doesn't necessarily, I'm trying to remember if it is like a shall be used on local intersections or may be used with the discretion of, so I'm not entirely sure if they're required to do that or if it's so I would love to hear from Brian Bloman and hear what he would recommend.
Yeah, I'm leaning that way.
Yeah, I think there's too many variables that either we need from the developer or Brian that we just don't know. So I would say we table it.
What if we suggest we table it and until such times we have the engineering review to make sure it complies with the city code?
Yeah, I mean, we have the engineering review. It's just he didn't say anything about this, but now that we brought it up, I'm glad that we did because it does make pedestrian travel safer.
Mhm.
And so if there's opportunity to make it better, let's wait and make sure we can do it right.
Yeah. Okay, sounds like maybe a motion to table is what we want.
I'll do it.
Best option. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Mr. Chair, I move that the planning commission tables the final plat for the request by Woodside Homes for the approval. Item number 6, pending review by engineering and potentially getting feedback from the developer.
Okay, do we want to say on the specific item or?
Yes, on this particular item for final plats, Parkview.
Oh, no, I meant on the traffic calming.
Yeah, maybe just to indicate the one intersection, traffic calming at the one intersection.
For the traffic calming at that particular intersection.
Yeah.
Okay. That we kind of specify what the engineering review has.
Put those cross sections in, what that intersection is, just on that motion. Just,
So you want to add to the motion?
no, I'm just saying, because we
Oh.
want that specific one, so if we say in the motion, which intersection.
Yeah.
I can redo it.
Okay.
Okay, so for the motion, I move that we table the request for the final plat by Woodside Homes for the approval of the final plots of Parkview at Shoreline Phase 5 and 6, item number 6 on tonight's agenda, pending engineering review for the traffic calming conditions at the particular intersection at the south side of the plot.
Okay. We have a motion. We have a second.
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Shea. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, it is tabled. Next item on our agenda is to adjourn to work session. So moved. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we are now in work session. Next item is City Council report. I don't know, Commissioner Watson or Councilman Watson, do you have anything for us?
I don't.
Okay. Anything from our city attorney?
I have nothing for either meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Glad you commented on both meetings there. How about anything upcoming agenda?
All right. We have a couple of things. Sorry about that. So we have a rezone request, 2191 West and 1700 South. It's from A1 to general commercial. So we'll see. The property is general plan commercial or it's general plan commercial. So general commercial is allowed there. But they wanted to move forward with that. And there's been some potential contention on that one. So
Where was that one again? Sorry.
2191 West, 1700 South.
Okay, so along that strip across.
So it's across from Walmart then.
South side of Walmart. Yep. And then we have a public hearing request to allow ADUs in the PRD zone, depending on lot size, possibly. We're still working on language with the applicant there.
What's ADU?
Accessory dwelling units.
Okay,
So like basement apartments and things.
in the PRD?
Yep. So we currently do allow it in RPC, but you have to have a 5,600 square foot lot size or larger. So, I mean, it would make sense to have it in PRD where we allow it in RPC, but we're going to have to work out the specifics.
Is that an ordinance, a code change required for that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And that would definitely be in line with the state's push to allow more ADUs.
That would also draw out potential costs for rentals for those as well.
We're actually getting a lot of requests from builders because if you're trying to sell a house and the buyer has a certain income, the lender says you can afford X amount, right? But if you have a rental unit, then your income gets higher and then you can qualify for higher and then get into the house. So it's kind of a strategy a lot of builders are trying to use to be able to get people into their homes.
It's basically build a 2-story house and an apartment and a basement apartment or something that they can afford it.
Yeah, but our job will be, well, we don't want to discuss it too much right here, but
Right.
we'll have to evaluate the impacts that might have, mainly parking, probably the main issue we got to think about.
Okay.
And then longer term stuff, we do have the Syracuse Arts Academy, the new one, that rezone for the few homes that they're planning on building there, hopefully. And then the Briggs rezone, the one off of 2500 and 700 we've talked about. And then we have a rezone that maybe get pulled. I'm not sure. It's on the where.
Didn't we already rezone the Briggses one?
Oh, sorry, I'm on the wrong column.
Okay,
We've already
not
talked
worried
about all
about
of these. Yes. Let's see. So we do have a code amendment for differing crosswalk materials coming up. And then we're looking at buffers for the West Davis corridor that we discussed.
And we've already talked about those here, but remember we forwarded to city council, and city council, because of the holidays, still hasn't even talked about it yet. So they'll talk about it, and if they like it, then we'll be having a public hearing there in February. But if they don't like it, or if they want to keep talking about it longer, we might not. But these are the things that are still on the hopper.
Yeah, pending the nod, I guess. And then we have a potential text amendment about preventing multiple applications on the same property. And then Hammond Lane, let's see. Oh yeah, preliminary plat there on the corner of or not the corner. This one's in the middle of like the golf course neighborhood, kind of. If you follow Doral Drive up there a bit, we did the rezone for them.
Water questions.
Yes. Yep. And then there's the city council wants us to look at a zone that we've talked about for that light commercial. So we're looking at having a public hearing for that. And then we also have an application for a PRD down south. Well, I guess it's kind of that corner area south of Trails Edge subdivision and the West Davis corridor. There's some empty space there, kind of northwest of the Jensen Nature Park. So they want to do single family, but small lot. And then we have some stuff coming up later on, but those are the most immediate things.
We have any, thank you. Anything commissioner reports?
Maybe a question. I noticed that UDOT has a project on Antelope Drive to extend our 10-foot our path, our multi-use path. Is that what involvement is the city having in, or do you know?
It's on the UDOT website, or?
It's a planning project. Yeah, it's
Oh, okay.
from like Doral Drive going out west to Fort.
And it's also It's also on our trails master plan. The goal is to get a trail all the way out to the causeway. And so there's some early work going on to try to figure out how that would work. And we did did all the environmental work for it, and they designed a lot of how it would work. So that's probably what you're talking about.
Yeah, I remember that being a big discussion, right? When we were talking over the transportation plan.
Yeah, I remember I know that was part of the plan. I just didn't know if that was like, if it was beginning to be discussed or what.
We've been in all of the planning meetings with the state, with UDOT. We've been pushing it because we're hoping to be able to get some funding. And Brian Bloman's probably the guy to answer that question because he does most of our transportation master planning and grant applications and things like that. You two engineers need to have a nice little lunch and talk all about your engineering things.
Do we have any guess on when the new planning commissioner will be appointed, or how many applications the mayor even got? Or
I haven't seen which agenda it will go on with city council to appoint him, but I know that he's been working on it and there have been some applicants.
anything else? Otherwise, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, everybody. Meeting's adjourned.